Hello and welcome to the Premier League review show. So we had games on Saturday, Sunday and Monday. This week the first Monday night football took place at Crystal Palace, and that's where we're going to start. We're going to start Monday, we're going to go back to Sunday and then end on Saturday. So the first game up will be Crystal Palace versus Liverpool. This was a pretty even game. There wasn't a lot between it, I don't think. Salah was fouled by Mamadou Sakho just before half time, and they won a penalty, Liverpool, which was converted by James Milner. Was it a penalty? I don't know. I think I'd have probably gone down if I'd had that contact. And then they tried to get back into it in the second half. They brought on Sorloth, the striker, but 5 minutes after that, at 75 minutes, so 50 minutes to go, Salah raced through and was fouled by Wan-Bissaka, and he was given a straight red card. I'm not 100% sure if it was a clear goal scoring opportunity. The ball seemed to have gone. I'm not 100% sure if there was contact, but if there was contact, then it is a red card. But the ball was well away, and he was sent off. So they made a couple of changes. They brought on Joel Ward. Obviously, he plays right back, so he came in, and then they brought on Max Meyer, the new signing from Germany. They pushed and pushed and pushed Crystal Palace for that equaliser, and that's what cost them in the end. They lost the ball at their corner, and Salah gave the ball to Mane, and Mane went round the goalkeeper and made it 2-0. So really, really good win for Liverpool. Keita, he had a decent game again. They look really solid at the back, which is something that you don't associate with Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool side. They look really, really solid. They pretty much bossed the game, but they didn't look overly good. It was a pretty fair game. Liverpool deserved to win it overall, I would say. But we have to, it's only early on, and you expect Crystal Palace to be a very hard place to go to, and they're well drilled and well set up by Roy Hodgson, so I expect it to be a very, very hard trip. Manchester City didn't win there last season. Manchester United came from 2-0 down to win there. Chelsea lost there. I think it was 3-2 between them and Arsenal. So it's a pretty hard game, hard place to go to. So I think they might look back on this and think it was a good 3 points. On to Sunday, we start off at Burnley and Watford. So Burnley obviously have the Europa League, so that's why they've played their first 2 games on a Sunday afternoon. They lost this one 3-1. Andre Gray converting after 3 minutes. The former Burnley striker hitting in Troy Deeney's cross, but 3 minutes later, Tarkowski equalised with a header. Will Hughes went in very, very roughly, very late on Stephen Ward. He was only given a yellow card. I think personally it's one of those that's not a red card but not a yellow card, sort of in between, and maybe in the future they may introduce something that's like a 10-minute outage. So you get a booking and then you have to sit out for 10 minutes, something like that. But that was just before half-time. After half-time, a great ball by Decore put Deeney through and he made it 2-1. And then 3 minutes later, Will Hughes with a fantastic finish. They tried to get back into it. They brought on Ashley Barnes, Sam Vokes. But it's really, really good 3 points that for Watford. Burnley, I'm slightly concerned that they are worrying about, obviously, qualification for the Europa League. And, we've seen it in the past where a team has a really, really good season. They go into Europe and they really, really struggle with their league form. And that is something that could happen this time. Next, we travel to the Etihad. Manchester City 6, Huddersfield 0. What a performance this was by Manchester City. So, one person that was instrumental in this was Benjamin Mendy. He was involved in 4 of the goals that they scored. So Aguero He opened the score after 25 minutes. A long ball from Edison catching out the Huddersfield back line, and Aguero made it 1-0. Jesus made it 2-0 after a great run from Benjamin Mendy, and Mendy crossed in, and it was dealt with by Ben Hamer, and there was Aguero to feed off those scraps. He did get one back before half-time, Huddersfield. Stankovic scoring from a throw-in. After half-time, 3 minutes after half-time, a great free kick from David Silva made it 4-1, and that was game over for Huddersfield. Benjamin Mendy, with 15 minutes to go, crossed in, and there was Aguero to complete his hat-trick. A lovely finish by Sergio Aguero. And 6-1, a great run by Leroy Sané, who'd just come on, and he crossed it in, and it found Kongolo, who couldn't do anything about it, but put it into his own net. 6-1, it could have been more. They bossed the game as you would expect. 77% possession. That is crazy. 32 shots, 14 on target, 9 off target, 9 block shots. They would just boss the game from start to finish, and it was a great, great win. Obviously, it's only Huddersfield, so let's not try to not get carried away. Finally, one of the biggest shocks so far, probably the biggest surprise so far, definitely. It's Brighton Manchester United. So a lovely finish from Glenn Murray, converting a Solly March cross, made it 1-0. After some confusion at the back line, Duffy was up there to make it 2-0. Really, really poor defending there. I think it was just a long ball forward, and Bailly put it out for a corner, and then they scored from the corner, so it could have all been avoided. Romelu Lukaku scored just after half an hour to make it 2-1, but I think it was Bailly again. He fouled, I think it was Pascal Gross, and Gross stepped up and scored the penalty. De Gea should have probably done better, but he has a pretty poor record from penalties. That made it 3-1. After half-time, they made the changes, Manchester United. Pereira and Mata came off. Lingard and Rashford came on. After an hour, Fellaini came on for Martial. They could not break them down. They did win a late penalty, Fellaini getting fouled, and Pogba finished off, but there wasn't enough time. And it was a really, really concerning performance. These results happen, but if you want to be champions, you can't lose too many games, and to lose the second game of the season is not a good start. There's a lot of issues behind closed doors, by the scene of things. Today Mino Raiola put some strange tweets out, to say the least, and it looks like there could be some trouble within the camp. I'm sure they will rectify this on Monday when they face Tottenham at home. Finally, we go to Saturday, and we'll start off with game of the day, and that was Chelsea versus Arsenal. So Chelsea looked brilliant in the first 20 minutes. Pedro converting a ball from Alonso, and then Morata went through to make it 2-0. They missed a fair few chances in this first half, Arsenal. Aubameyang put it over a couple of times, as did Mkhitaryan. But they did get through at the break at a draw. A goal from Mkhitaryan, and then a cross from Mkhitaryan was converted by Iwobi. The amount of chances they created and didn't take was astonishing, Arsenal, and it cost them in the end when Hazard put through Alonso, who won the game for Chelsea. So that's the first 3 points at home for Sarri. The game was bossed overall by Chelsea, but the amount of chances that Arsenal had, the clear chances, they should have converted some of those and done a lot better. That was really disappointing. Cech, on the other hand, he made some really good saves to deny Chelsea. Overall, I think a draw would have been a fair result, but maybe just about Chelsea. If I had to pick one, they probably deserved the win. On to 12:30, a very, very boring game at Cardiff. Cardiff City 0, Newcastle 0. I was very impressed by Cardiff new signing Josh Murphy. He looked really good. He caused a lot of troubles for Manquillo. Manquillo come off for Isaac Hayden, and once again it was him causing the problems, and Isaac Hayden was red carded for a foul on Josh Murphy. I was also really impressed by Arthur and Camarasa. Cardiff had several chances for Kenneth Zohore that were not converted. And then right at the end, a handball was given. I think it was Morrison who was the offender. Newcastle penalty, Kennedy to take, but it was saved very comfortably by Neil Etheridge, who made it 2 saves from 2 in their games. 2 penalty saves in their last 2 games. Really, really, really good. And I think a draw was a fair result. It's a pretty boring game. 2 sides that look like they could struggle this season for sure. Everton, they got their first win of the season and first win under Marco Silva. Theo Walcott opened the score in a lovely routine free kick. Leighton Baines to Schneiderlin, who played in Theo Walcott, and he made it 1-0. Walcott could have had a hat-trick. He played really, really well, and he set up the second goal just after half an hour for Richarlison. There was an incredible save by Pickford after he'd spilt the ball out to Danny Ings. He made a great save onto the bar and a really, really good save. After half-time, Danny Ings did pull one back for Southampton, but overall they didn't deserve a point, and it was a good win for Everton. They look really creative. They still have a lot of players to come back, the likes of Andre Gomez. He's not made his debut yet. Zuma, Yerry Mina, Bernard. So they do have a lot of options to still get involved yet. Obviously, those are the signings that they made on deadline day. So they're going to get better, I think. Next, we go to the King Power Stadium, where Leicester City beat Wolves 2-0. Despite Wolves having the better of the play, 57% possession, 11 shots on, to Leicester's 6. They really, really bossed the game. It was a 2-0 victory to Leicester. An own goal from Matt Doherty. This was a cross-in, and it comes off a head, and then he just heads it beautifully into the corner. Terrible own goal to concede. There was absolutely nothing that Rui Patricio could have done about it. Absolutely nothing. Just before half-time, a goal from Maddison made it 2-0. Ricardo Pereira, who had a very, very good game, giving it to Maddison, who shot from just outside the boxes, took a deflection on the way, and it went into the corner, and there was nothing Patricio could have done. So it was 2-0 at the break. After half-time, Bonatini and Adama Traore come on, Traore making his debut, and just after the hour mark, Vardy was sent off for a serious foul on a Wolves player who name escapes me. I can't remember who that was, and he was sent off, but it didn't affect the score. Gibbs White came on to try and probe, but nothing happened, and it was a simple 2-0 win for Claude Puel's men. Next, a very, very good game between two London sides at Wembley Stadium, Tottenham and Fulham. So Tottenham took the lead with a beautiful curled effort by Lucas Moura just before half-time. After the break, a great play by Fulham. Kearney was involved, and Ryan Sessegnon and Mitrovic. And Mitrovic converted a cross from Ryan Sessegnon to make it 1-1. They made the changes. Dembele and Lamela came on. Lamela, who was key in the second goal. The first goal, 75 minutes in. Kieran Trippier, beautiful free kick into the corner. A really, really nice finish. And in 77 minutes, Lamela with a great run, giving it to Harry Kane, who slotted it in for his first goal in August. I think that Fulham will get things right. I just think it will take a bit of time, but a really, really nice performance that by Tottenham. And just a little bit of a concern in so far is West Ham. West Ham took the lead after 33 minutes. A foul on Chicharito gave West Ham the chance, and Arnautovic converted the penalty to give West Ham the lead at the break, 1-0. Just after half-time, Callum Wilson equalised. He went through about 5 different West Ham players, including Balbuena, including Zabaleta, and then Ogbonna. He ran through and slotted it between the legs of Lucas Fabianski to make it 1-0, and then a Ryan Fraser cross was was converted by Steve Cook. And they held on for that win. They brought on new signings Carlos Sanchez and Lucas Perez, and they also brought on Yarmolenko, but nothing doing. And it's just a little bit concerning. There's nothing to really, write home about, but it's not. It's not the best result so far. They go to Arsenal, and it could be 3 defeats in 3 for Manuel Pellegrini's team on Saturday. That would be a really, really tough game. We will just have a look at the games. Obviously, I will be doing a preview and predictions, so feel free to check that out on the Friday. So 12:30 kickoff is Wolves versus Manchester City, and then the 4 3 o'clock games: Bournemouth versus Everton, Arsenal versus West Ham, Huddersfield versus Cardiff, and Southampton versus Leicester. The 5:30 fixture is Liverpool versus Brighton. Sunday, 3 games. We have Watford versus Crystal Palace at 1:30, and then 4 o'clock we have Fulham versus Burnley. Once again, that is due to Burnley being in the Europa League. That's a 4 o'clock kickoff, and then the game on the telly at 4 o'clock is Newcastle versus Chelsea. Finally, the game on Monday, the Monday Night Football, is Manchester United versus Tottenham. So that could be a really, really good game. That is something to look forward to. So that is the Premier League in review. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for tuning in. It really means a lot to me. Subscribe if you are new. My name is Mike, and I will see you soon.